Hi everyone, I'm Joanna and this is the Tech Flex, and thanks for coming to my channel. Today we're going to be talking about tips to negotiate your pay. I'm pretty excited to talk about this topic because it's so important. I know that a lot of Black women do not negotiate, so I kind of wanted to talk about this a little bit just to kind of make you feel more comfortable and provide some extra tips when it's time to negotiate. After this video, if I find out that y'all not negotiating, just block me back. I'm just kidding, but it is really important, and I feel like a lot of people get really nervous when it comes to negotiation. I don't know what it is, but a lot of people really do assume the worst when it comes to negotiation. Like, they're not going to just take away your offer just because you ask for more. It's so common to negotiate. You should negotiate every single time. I don't care if you are working at a call center and they tell you that you're only getting paid $13 an hour. You better ask them to make it $13.75. Always negotiate, period, point blank. If you're an intern, you can still negotiate. I negotiated my internships. Thanks to my mentor, I knew that I had to negotiate. My very first internship, I did not negotiate, and she got on me so bad. And I was just like, I didn't even know that was a thing. Like, I didn't know that you can intern and negotiate. And she's the one who told me, shout out to Whitney, that everything is negotiable. So shout out to Whitney for that valuable life lesson, because I've been negotiating since, period. So the first tip is to know your worth. Before you do anything, before you talk to a recruiter, honestly, before you even apply for the job, you should know how much money that job is running for on average. You should know the average pay for your role in the industry. You should know your average pay for different cities, and you should know the average pay for your role at that company. For example, the pay in New York at the same company will be very different than the pay in Chicago. The pay at a large tech company like Facebook will be very different than the pay at a small company at like Robinhood. The pay at PayPal will be very different than the pay at Google. So you definitely want to know the differences so that you know what you're getting yourself into. Because especially if you're applying for jobs that are in different areas and you're kind of open to the area, you want to kind of have an idea of how much that job runs for in that specific city, in that specific industry, at that specific company. Also, along the lines of knowing your worth, you never know when someone's going to ask you what your salary expectations are. A recruiter might ask you that in the very first phone call, so you want to be prepared. And that brings me to my second tip, which is don't let these recruiters finesse you into lowballing yourself, because they will. If a recruiter asks you what your salary expectations are, the conversation can go either one of two ways. The first way that it can go is, if you did your research, you can give them an educated answer on what your salary expectations are. If you did not do your research, do not just throw out a number, because if you lowball yourself, you are going to be so mad about it later. A good way to go about this is to just inform them that you like to learn more about your role, the company, and the team before you talk about compensation. That'll give you some time to do your research. A great resource to use to find out more about the average pay is levels.fyi. I use this website all the time to gather information about the compensation at different companies. What I really like about that website is that it also breaks it down according to pay. So I usually go on there, I click on the company that I'm interested in, I click on entry level, and then boom, I'm able to see the average base, the average equity, as well as the average bonus, which will create my total annual compensation. Make sure you check out my video about total annual compensation, because this topic is so important. If you don't understand your tech pay, you really should not be talking to anyone. The pay is structured so differently in tech, so you definitely want to make sure that you're educated. Check out my video to find more. The next tip, which is tip number 3, is when it's time to provide salary expectations, always say a number that is about 10 to 15% higher than your desired salary. This is so that if they do try to come a little lower than what you say, that there's a little bit of wiggle room and they can meet you right at your desired salary. Tip number 4, do not negotiate until you have an offer. I get so many phone calls from friends that literally are just in their first conversation and they're asking me, like, oh, I didn't like that the recruiter said that I'm only going to get paid this, that, and the third. Should I say something about that now? No, do not negotiate anything until you actually have a verbal or written offer. You have no leverage until you have an offer. Once you get an offer and you've been through all those interviews, it is the recruiter's main job to make you sign the offer. Like, at that point, the recruiter is like your salesperson. They're trying to do anything that they can to make you pick that company. So you definitely want to wait until you have that as leverage before you ask for anything that you want. This is very circumstantial. Some things you might want to bring up very early on. It really just depends on the situation. You just want to kind of fill it out and, again, read the room and see if it's appropriate for you to ask at that time. My next tip is, if you're interviewing for other companies, definitely name drop them if you can. This is something that I like to do just to let recruiters know that they're not the only ones checking for me, period. I definitely think that this helps out a lot when it comes down to the offer, because I have actually heard of a company that will automatically offer their candidates higher offers if they hear that they're interviewing for FAANG companies. And by FAANG, I mean Facebook, Apple, Amazon, Netflix, or Google. My next tip is when you're negotiating, always use precise numbers. This helps you out because it makes you sound like you did a lot of research on the market value of that role. So instead of asking for $97,000, ask for $96,750. Next is always negotiate. So I obviously talked about this a lot at the beginning of the video, but always negotiate. Every time you get an offer, negotiate. Period, point blank. Even if they say it's non-negotiable, guess what? You need to negotiate. And my last tip is to take your time when it comes to accepting the offer. A lot of times in interviews, we don't get a lot of time to talk to the team, talk to the manager, and ask more questions about the team, the role, the company, things like that. So if you need more time, if you need more meetings to talk to other teammates, to talk to your manager, if you need to clarify some benefits with your recruiter, then do that before you sign your offer. You do not have to rush into anything. At the end of the day, you're going to be in this job for quite some time, and you want to make sure that you made the best decision. So that's all I have for today. If you would like to hear more tips about negotiation or just any more information about that, drop some comments below and let me know what you guys are thinking and what you want to hear from me. But thank you so much for watching this video. Please like, comment, and subscribe if you have enjoyed this video, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Bye.